Hi guys, Dave Pinson here. Welcome to my brand new podcast. I'm just learning out how to do these podcasts. This is a new thing for me, so hopefully I'll figure out how to post this in the right way. It'll get to enough people. Um, I have a couple different YouTube channels. Vidiot for Jesus is where I'm trying to name this one. I'm a Vidiot for Jesus, but this one is called the Poop Sandwich. The name of this episode is the Poop Sandwich. So what is a poop sandwich? So here, let's talk about this. So back in the day, back a long time ago, when I won't say a baby Christian, but I was a young in my fairly young in my faith. I had a little family. I used to go to church all the time. I was very involved in that church. I would do Sunday schools. I would help with the Sunday school. I would help with the men's ministry. I was actually being mentored by one of the associate pastors there because I wanted to be in the ministry, and I was an involved guy. Definitely a church guy, 100%. And there was a guy who came, and he was from near us, a local. He had a ministry, um, and his ministry was basically to get people away from worldly entertainment into good entertainment. And his whole thing was he called the 30-day Christian music diet. So he came to our church, and they gave him the pulpit one Sunday, and he talked about the 30-day Christian diet. And what was he talking about? He says, for 30 days I want you not to listen to any secular music, just straight Christian music, just for 30 days, and see what happens. Is it worship music, Christian music, anything godly? He said there's a scale. Here's a scale. The scale is, it could be really bad. It could be have really bad language. It could be talking about having sex with young girls, and it could be really bad music, or like that. And it could be swearing, or it could be neutral, like happy birthday. Happy birthday's in the middle. It's in the neutral. There's nothing wrong with happy birthday. It's not a godly song, but it's not a bad song. There's a lot of music that we listen to that's in the middle. And what I found is, going through the scale, and for me, sometimes I'll get in a mood where I want to listen to the music of the '70s when I grew up, and I'll just pop on YouTube and I'll just pop in all these songs that come to mind. Oh, I used to, and then when I listen to the lyrics, I'm like, that's really sinful. I didn't know it. Same thing with movies. I didn't really realize at the time when I was walking in sin what was going on. So that's his skill. And then he gets over to the good side, and the good side is like anything about Jesus, anything uplifting. It could be worship music, hymns, Christian music, right? So he does this 30-day challenge, and I did the 30-day challenge because I like challenges like that. And what you find is that it changes your outlook on life. And he was right. It changes your outlook on life. There's even I would say for 30 days, don't watch any news for 30 days and see what it does to your mind. It might change your mind. You might say, wow, look at this. I'm not suppressed. I'm not worried about who's going to win the election, or if are we going to have war, or is China going to invade over here? I'm not worried about stuff for a minute. I'm not saying you should unplug all the way. I'm not saying you should unplug. You shouldn't like not know what's going on. But I probably watch too much news. I don't really watch news. I just watch commentators. Really, I have my commentators that agree with me, but I do try to stay in touch every now and then just to make sure that there's not World War III, and there's not a typhoon coming to my island or something like that. But getting bad stuff out of your mind and your heart and soul was the idea. That was the idea of his 30-day diet, right? And it sort of started something in me that began my life of turning away from worldly entertainment, and spending more time in the Lord. And I was sort of challenged because I read the old guys. And when I say old guys, I'm talking about, John Wesley, A.W. Tozer, Oswald Chambers, Heinz Feet on High Places. I like to read a lot of old Christian guys, great the Dead Preachers Society, Spurgeon, D.L. Moody. Anyway, so as I'm reading these guys, and I realize how much time they spend in the Lord, how much time they spend in prayer, how much time they spend before God, how much time they spend in godly things. Because as I read these guys, I've always been a kid. Ever since I was a kid, I've always had a hero. Um, I want to be a hero. I want to be a hero. I've always wanted to be a hero. I've always wanted to be the one, and I've always had these. Uh, when I was in school, the neighborhood, my friends would tell me, "Man, you have some high dreams. You have high hopes. You are the most high hoping person I know." I don't know. You're very ambitious, David Pinson, and yeah, I guess I was. And of course, I didn't achieve those goals, and my drug and alcohol and other things threw me for a loop. But I've always had the high hopes. So I had high hopes to be a holy person like these guys and to live my life like them. But then and my wife, my current wife, was really good at saying, what are you doing? You spend a lot of time watching those, watching football, watching movies, and doing these things, right? So the first thing I did was I stay away from R-rated movies. At the time, it was R. Now it's MA and different things. So I try to stay away from anything that's got swear words in it, lots of swear words in it, that's got people taking their clothes off and doing things with each other, has too much gross violence in it. You know, I basically stay away from those kind of things. Um, and not because I'm better than you or holy or anything like that, but because I can't handle it, because I have a tendency to swear. I have a tendency to think on those things, and I have a tendency to be drawn into that. And I have a tendency for that to become the things I think on, and it's going to destroy my walk. It's going to destroy my relationship with God, because God doesn't partner with that stuff. So why would He, right? So God, so what are we talking about, a poop sandwich? So God doesn't partner with that stuff, right? So I don't want to partner with that stuff. So that was the first step, is to stay away from that. And for the most part, I stick to it. We're going to get into the poop sandwich in a minute. I think you'll like this concept. So the idea is to stay away from that stuff and only watch. At the time it was PG-13 and PG, and now I find there's some PG-13 that's pretty dang iffy. It's pretty, what? So now you're allowed to say the F-bomb one time, and you're allowed to take off your clothes but don't show anything. And the things that it's morphing that way. And what you find is, what I find is, if I go to my Prime Video, because I still have Prime, because many reasons I have Amazon Prime, and you get Prime Video free with that, except you have to pay for the movies and stuff. But when you go to Prime, or you go to any of these, you go to Netflix or whatever, you find out that 75% of the stuff is rated R. It's rated MA. It's TV-14 even, which is rated R essentially. So you find that it's really hard to find anything good, and I do. I go on Netflix, and there's 3 good things, 5 good things maybe, plus the kids programs, and you can watch, and I can watch those, and I'll find good movies on there, but it's hard. So anyway, what did I decide to do? The second step was I prayed, and this is I think this is how my life is now. I prayed that God, that I would spend as much time in the Lord as I spend on entertainment. In other words, you're going to watch TV for 5 hours. You better spend 5 hours in your Bible study and your prayer and your worship music. And I picked up the guitar and taught myself how to play the guitar. I say guitar, not guitar. So you know, focusing on, or watching Christian movies. I would count that as a Christian, right? So that was my first goal, right? And that's kind of where I'm at today. So what does this have to do with the poop sandwich? Well, here's the thing. My friend that came, I wish I could remember his name. I'm sorry, doing him a disservice here, but I have a terrible memory. I have a good memory, but it's short, as a friend of mine would say. So he would say, but sometimes you have stuff that just has a little bit of bad in it. So it's like a really good sandwich. Here's why it's called a poop sandwich. It's a really good sandwich, but it's got a little tiny piece of poop in it, but not much. You know, he said when he was teaching kids this, or youth this, I think he taught a youth class at his church, and he would have the youth come in, and he would give them brownies, and then he would tell them, there's a little bit of poop in those brownies, and he'd say, but don't worry, you can't taste it. It won't bother you. But there's a little bit of poop in there, and that's what a poop sandwich is. So what's a poop sandwich? Well, a poop sandwich is something. Most of it's really good, but there's that little bit of poop. There's that time in the movie where they do this, and there's that time. Oh, and then there's the whole idea that there's a false god in there, and that they're worshiping the devil, or this and that and the other. It's got just a little bit of poop, so it won't really harm you. And that's where you need to make that decision. What's the decision that you need to make there? The decision that you need to make there is, whom will you serve today? Yeah. Are you going to be a worldly Christian? Because how many times have I done this? And I've done this many times, where I find a movie, and I love sci-fi and certain things that I enjoy. You might enjoy other things. And as I'm watching it, it's so good. And then it's really good, especially like a TV show. This usually happens with TV show. It's a really good TV show. Like, what was the one, the girl from Avalon? I forgot her name. Redheaded girl from Avalon. And then all of a sudden, you get to like episode 7, and all of a sudden there's some nastiness, and there's this whole worldview that's from the devil that they just throw at you. One time I watched a whole kids show. It's called Voltron, And at the very end, there's this homosexual relationship. At the very, very end, after whatever, 5 seasons or whatever. So there's your poop sandwich, guys. Sometimes you don't know what's coming, and then it's not your fault. And sometimes you just work past it and you swallow the poop, and then you just move on and you try to get some more, put some more jelly on that peanut butter because I didn't like the taste of that. And sometimes it's in there. There's a show that on right now that it's a fantasy show, and I just hit the fast forward button. So these are silly things, I know. These are how important is this? Well, I'm a weak person. I'm not strong like you. My faith my faith in God is strong, but my faith in me or doing what I'm supposed to do is not so strong. Because I have this sin which so easily besets me. So I try to stay away. If there's some poop cookies out there that have really good stuff in them and I know I'll eat them because it's really good, I try to remove those from the house, right? And so the other day, why does this come up right now? Well, there's some people that I watch on YouTube that are really good. I love everything they say, but they have this. Every time there's this one comedian, he has a show on late night, and I love him. I love it because we're in the same, mostly the same. I mean, he's a what do you call him? What do you call people that don't believe in libertarian? I'm not libertarian, but he's a libertarian, so I don't agree with everything he says. But he's really good and he's really funny, and I love it when he makes fun of people that I don't that I don't like, even though it's really vicious. It's just hilarious. But then every now and then he'll throw in for some reason he's obsessed with certain kinds of sin, and he'll just throw these disgusting jokes out there. And so finally I had to quit doing it. I had to quit watching them, right? Because I don't need it, right? So this is the thing: choose this day whom you will serve. Do I really need to be entertained? So I don't. There's another really good Charger podcast that I love. I call it a podcast. I don't know what it is. YouTube videos. I don't know the difference, guys. But these guys give me the most information, good in-depth study. I learn more about football from these guys than anybody else I've ever watched. But every now and then they'll throw the F-bomb out there. And this kid, he's a church kid, and he should know better. And I'm just like, I don't need that. I don't need that. So you have to choose. You have to choose. Leonard Ravenhill, one of my favorite. He's my favorite all-time preacher that I've heard. I've never seen him, but I listen to him on YouTube. I don't agree with everything he says. There's a lot of stuff I don't agree with it, but his heart is just amazingly for the lost and the world, right? And he said something that really struck me. A couple of things, and I'll close with this. The first thing he said was, entertainment is the devil's substitute for the joy of the Lord. Now this is true. And he says, who are the gods of America? Who are the top the people worship? And he says the first one is sports and the second one is entertainment. Is what he said. And this is true. And I do love me some football. Football became a god to me, right? Right. I still love football, but it's not as much a big part of my life as it used to be. Not near as much. I used to watch Sundays. So they have Sundays. The first game is at 10 a.m. So the pregame starts at 9. So from 9, and then the last game, the Sunday evening game starts at like 6 p.m., I think. So 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day. And if you want to stay up and watch the post-game show, it'd be 13 hours a day I'd spend on Sundays. So yeah, that's a bit much. But he's right about that. It's a substitute for the joy of the Lord. And if I'm going to spend so much time in entertainment, it's gonna change my heart. It's gonna be like the 30-day diet. So, you know, I don't know. I still like my entertainment, but I don't like poop sandwiches, guys. And I'm trying. I want to stay away from poop sandwiches. I want to stay away from. If I know it's there, then I have friends. I have good Christian friends that watch. What was the name of that? Yellowstone. Oh, David, really? I'm talking really good church people that I used to go to church with that love the Lord. And he said, "Oh, it's fine." Well, yeah, well, they get naked and they swear a lot. Oh, that's okay. It doesn't bother me. That's what a really good sister in the Lord said that to me once. Well, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect my walk. Like I said, I'm not as good as those people. It affects my walk. Why? Because it affects my mind. Think on these things. How about that? We'll close with this. I always say we'll close with this, and I wind up coming up with other things because these are going to be unscripted. I decided. I don't know how long they're going to be, but they're going to be unscripted. It has to be from the Holy Ghost. Hang on a second. So if you say that these things don't affect you, right? And Jesus said, think on these things. Or what does it say there? Whatever's kind, whatever's pure. I think Paul said that. Because I want my life to be his. I want to overcome it. And I don't know if I can overcome these things if I have this poop in my brain. Because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and I've heard that said. So when I'm taking poop in my brain, I think there's and that sin, that flesh nature enjoys that stuff. So I'm gonna try to diminish it, and I'm gonna try to stay away from the poop sandwiches, guys, if I know they're coming. And I'm gonna get rid of those things that I watch that have a little bit of junk in them. And I'm gonna stick with my. Maybe I have to go to G rated or rated E for everyone. I don't know, but I'm gonna stick with it, and I'm gonna try to focus my life and my heart on the Lord. Because if I focus my life and my heart on the Lord, then I believe that He can still use me. One thing I don't want to do is I don't want to stumble because of any of this. And so I would choose whom I will follow today is I will follow Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior, the author and finisher of my faith. God bless you guys. Ta ta for now.